3 by Wdowski, 2025. Chapter 12. By midday, they were continuing west on the Sunrise to Sunset Turnpike. The dirt road mostly cut through peaceful forests, where cool early autumn breezes rustled the multicolored leaves. At times, the road passed through open croplands, grazing fields, orchards, farmsteads, and small hamlets and villages, all abandoned and deserted of human life. Some homes still smoldered. Many buildings had broken doors and windows, their ransacked contents spilling into the streets. The ruined settlements were littered with the corpses of livestock, as if the animals had been wantonly slaughtered. A few had been torn apart and partially devoured. The stench of death hung heavy in the air. Turkey vultures feasted on the carcasses, undisturbed by the swarming flies. Packs of once domesticated dogs roamed wild. They bared their teeth and growled at the mounted men, but kept their distance. Well, at least we haven't run into any demonoids, Zacharies, or Ghorics. Zup attempted to put a positive spin on the patches of destruction they rode past. They clearly swept through this area, Chopson pointed out. They don't seem to be ignoring humans as the emissary's words were written. Added Josh, whose keener eyes focused on the road and woods ahead of them. Dale had asked Josh to keep an eye out for any possible ambushes up ahead. At this rate, we'll not reach the great river until the end of tomorrow. Chopson seemed a bit uneasy as they passed by another abandoned settlement. They're like ghost towns. You don't believe in ghosts, do you, Chopson? Dale teased him a little. A big guy like you. I didn't believe in fairies until recently. Chopson responded, glancing at Pixa and Bruce flying above just ahead of them. They too were keeping a watch on the road up ahead. Good point, Dale conceded. Bruce flew down and hovered before Dale. There is a town up ahead. It seems to be in the same condition as the farms and other smaller settlements we have passed. Should be Littlefields, Dale answered. It is the largest settlement between here and the great river. I am assuming by your reaction. There is more to the town than just being abandoned. There is movement in the town. Bruce lisped, a bit rattled. We don't think they are humans. More dogs scrounging for scraps? Zup asked. Dale raised his hand to halt the small column. He kicked his horse forward. Bruce, Zup, and Josh moved with him to the crest of the small incline. They were directly under Pixa. She had not moved any further. Able to see the town ahead of them, Josh responded. Ghorics, at least 100. They are rummaging through the buildings. Dale had transferred most of the time capsule's items into pockets on his vest. The binoculars had a strap that he hung on his saddle horn. He picked up the binoculars and held them up to his eyes. They gave him a much better view than the spyglass, and he could easily adjust their focus. I would say you're right. You really do have good eyesight. Dale took the spyglass out of his saddlebag and gave it to Josh. Does this help more so? Josh, confused, looked at the spyglass, looking into the wrong end at first. No, it's much worse. Other end, Zup informed him. Oh, Josh looked through the other end. Yes, this way is written much better. I am spotting some Zacharies with them. That is odd. Dale, using the binoculars, searched the abandoned town for any Zacharies. Where, and what's so odd? The group of Ghorics on the north end. They have Zacharies on leashes, Josh replied. That is a very new narrative. Sure is. Never heard of domesticated Zacharies, Dale responded. And I never heard of Ghorics taming any animals. Dale began to think that dividing his forces was not a good idea. He did not have enough men to take on 100 Ghorics, with Zacharies as attack dogs. We may need to bypass around them to the river. Then let's do that, Zup agreed. The problem is, Thomas and Julius might ride right into that town with our pack horses tomorrow on their way to hook up with us at the great river. Yeah, that would not be good, Zup replied. They would have no chance at all. Dale considered heading back. He was realizing he would need more men to retake and secure Littlefields. Once Littlefields was secure, his team could move on with their mission. This mission was not turning out to be an easy pickup and delivery run. Dale pulled on his reins to head back down the incline to his men. He looked up at the fairies above. "We're heading back to Ridgeline Inn." "Then what?" asked Zup. "Even if we wait for your 2 other men, you still won't be able to take this town. You'll still need to bypass it once they join up with us. Riding off-road will slow our progress greatly," Dale pointed out. "No, we need to secure that town. Once we get back to the inn, I will have to send a rider back to Greendale. Request a large force of men, at least a company of spearmen and a company of archers. Perhaps a couple teams of workers to fortify the town until we can return. The Devil Maiden will see this as humans taking sides. You will also be weakening East Riverton by deploying that many from their defenses." Zup replied. "What other choice do we have?" Dale frustrated as he led them back to the others. "The Anubis," Josh recommended. "The Anubis?" Dale turned to Josh, who walked beside him. "It is written that they are great enemies of the Ghorics and demonoids," Josh explained. "Their city is near the end of the great road to the north of the inn." "He is right," Zup agreed. "Our people say they are the guardians of the dead. They are the ancient enemies of the demons from the deeper realms." "Yes, but would they get involved?" "They keep much to themselves. They do not trade with any other species." Dale was not convinced that this was an option. "Humans have tried to in the past many times. They always turn us away." "They won't even deal with my people." Zup had to agree with Dale. Josh looked up at the 2 fairies flying above them. "They do have great reverence for them." Dale and Zup both looked up at Pixa and Bruce. "They do?" Dale questioned. "At least it is the story told by my people about the Anubis." Josh admitted he was not really sure if it were true or not. "They are stories for our children, not the direct words of the great author. I cannot be certain it is canon of his true narrative." Sunset Ridgeline Inn. When they arrived back at the inn, Thomas and Julius were riding up with the pack horses. They had an additional 10 men riding with them, 6 more spearmen and 4 more archers. Surprisingly, also riding on 2 additional horses were 2 of the bar maidens, the blonde and the Asian maiden. "Greendale thought you could use extra men," Julius reported to Dale. "And I thought your main mission was to escort the women to safety?" Dale questioned Julius. "When they heard Greendale was sending more men back to reinforce you, these 2 insisted in joining us," Thomas explained. "Greendale gave them horses and allowed them?" Dale could not see any reason for Greendale to do that. "Well, no, they both bought their own mounts. Seems the innkeeper didn't take all the coin. The maidens had some silver of their own stashed away," Julius replied. "Greendale could not order them to not follow us back." Dale turned to the 2 women. "Why did you come back?" They both coyly smiled. "Never heard of a camp follower," the blonde answered. "We can cook and do laundry for you and your men." The Asian maiden grinned. "Especially yours, General." The blonde's blue eyes smiled. The men laughed when she called Dale a general. "I am not a general," Dale corrected her. "That is a good point. What is your rank, Dale?" asked Chopson. Blushing a little, he turned to Chopson. "Greendale never gave me a rank." "Yet he did put you in command." Pete chimed in. "Captain." "Major." Dale turned to Pete. "Yes, he did put me in command, but he never gave me a rank." "He made teacher a captain, captain teacher," Pete pointed out. "Perhaps you're a captain too." "Captain Dale." The other men nodded in agreement, copying Pete, Captain Dale. "All right, Pete. You just volunteered to go back to East Riverton." Dale sternly looked at Pete. "At first light, go back and tell Greendale we are going to need a company of spearmen and a company of archers. Any workers with building materials he can spare. We need to take back and secure Littlefields." "Repeat." Pete repeated Dale's orders to him. "Can I also verify with Greendale your rank?" "If that will make you happy, sure," Dale answered. "Can I ask him for a rank too?" asked Pete. Dale nodded yes. He then turned to the new men. "It is good to have you join us. Take care of your mounts, and you can rest in the inn." Pixa and Bruce said their good nights and flew to the tree they had slept in the night before. Morning. Dale sent Pete back to East Riverton. He ordered Thomas and Julius to ride only one day out east on the Sunrise to Sunset Turnpike. See if you can find any settlements that are willing to spare men, archers, woodsmen, fighters, hunters, and craftsmen. Gather whoever is willing to join up and meet us back here before tomorrow night. Aye, Captain Dale. Thomas and Julius both smiled as they saluted him. Ha ha, very funny. Dale gave a half smile and a return salute. Back by tomorrow night, he insisted. He then turned to Chopson. Chopson, you are to take command of the rest of the men here. Hold the inn until we all return by tomorrow night. Dale mounted his horse. He forcefully pointed to the stone bridge that crossed the New Angle River. Do not let anything foul-smelling cross that bridge. Barricade it if you have to. Aye, Dale. And the women? They can do as they please. They are not under my command. They just cannot follow me. They can head back to East Riverton with Pete, or head east to the settlements with Thomas and Julius. They just cannot follow me. If they choose to stay here with you, fine. But if they change their minds, you are not to offer them any escorts. Understood. Aye, Dale. Chopson replied, We'll hold until your return. Dale looked at the fairies just above him, then to Josh, and to Zup, who was already mounted. Ready? They all nodded and replied aye. Dale kicked into his mount's flanks and headed north, to hopefully convince the reclusive Anubis to join the fight.